The 10 Laws that Tune You to the Universe. Introduction. Most people will never hear what you're about to hear, and those who do rarely remain the same. There was a time, long before history wrote its first page, when human beings remembered what they truly were. They didn't see themselves as small, powerless, or trapped in circumstances. They knew their thoughts were currents of energy, their emotions were magnetic fields, and their consciousness was the spark that shaped reality. They walked the earth knowing they were creators, not spectators. But that knowledge was buried, not lost, buried. Hidden behind symbols, encrypted in ancient manuscripts, whispered only in secret schools of initiation. It survived wars, empires, and centuries of silence, waiting for the moment humanity would be ready again. Modern words call it metaphysics. The ancients called it the mechanics of the soul, and despite every attempt to suppress it, the truth never died. It simply waited, for minds capable of awakening and hearts capable of remembering. If you're listening now, it's not by chance. You weren't recommended this video. Your resonance brought you here. Your soul recognized a frequency it has not heard in lifetimes. You are standing at the threshold of remembering, not learning, remembering. Because what you're about to hear are not theories or philosophical ideas, but keys. Keys that unlock the hidden architecture of your reality. Keys that reveal why your life looks the way it does. Keys that show you how energy, thought, and spirit have always been shaping your destiny from the inside out. And as each key reveals itself, something ancient within you will begin to awaken. The power that waits beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath the identity you've worn until now. This is the start of your return, not to something new, but to the truth you carried long before you were born. Chapter 1. The Law of Vibration. You don't attract what you want, you resonate what you are. You've been taught to ask, to wish, to pray, to wait for something outside of you to answer. But what if the thing you've been waiting for has been echoing inside you all along? Because the universe doesn't respond to words. It doesn't hear your begging, your affirmations, or your plans. It only responds to your vibration. Everything that exists, every sound, every thought, every flicker of emotion, is energy in motion. And this motion, this sacred pulse, never stops moving. Right now, as you listen, there's a rhythm behind your heartbeat, a quiet hum behind your thoughts. That vibration is your signal to the universe, and it never lies. You are transmitting energy every second, whether you're aware of it or not. And life, like a perfect mirror, simply reflects that tone back to you. Think about how often you've tried to force something to happen. How many times have you pushed, planned, or pleaded for life to move faster? You visualized. You worked harder. You repeated your affirmations until they became noise. But deep inside, something still felt off. You said, "I am abundant." But fear was humming beneath your words. You said, "I am loved." But loneliness still vibrated behind your smile. You said, "I am ready." But your energy whispered, "I'm afraid." And the universe, so exact, so faithful, simply echoed that vibration. That's why you keep meeting the same lessons wearing different faces. That's why opportunities arrive only to slip away again. Not because life is cruel, but because vibration is precise. The law is not personal, it's musical. And until you change the tone, the melody will repeat. You've been trying to attract with your words, while repelling with your frequency. And that's why you feel tired. Because you've been singing two songs at once, the one you speak and the one your soul is actually playing. Here is the truth no one told you. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. You don't attract from your hopes, you attract from your state. Your outer world is nothing but your inner vibration made visible. Every person you meet, every circumstance that unfolds, every coincidence that stirs your heart. They're all notes of the same song, your song. So when life feels chaotic, it's not the universe attacking you. It's your own frequency asking to be retuned. That's why awareness is power. Because the moment you notice the vibration behind your emotion, You reclaim the conductor's baton. Stop reacting to life, and you start orchestrating it. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe slowly. Now, feel the space between your thoughts. That subtle current that moves beneath your awareness. That's your vibration. It's not just in your body. It's in your field, expanding, communicating, resonating. Your emotions are not weaknesses. They are instruments. They tell you when you're in tune or out of harmony with your divine self. If you feel tension, it means your soul is playing in a lower octave. If you feel peace, it means you're aligned with the higher one. You don't need to fight your emotions. You only need to feel them, to listen to what they're trying to teach you. When you feel sadness, say, "I'm tuning my instrument." When you feel fear, say, "I'm remembering the music I came here to play." Because emotion is movement, and movement changes vibration. When you shift your feeling, the entire field rearranges itself to match your new tone. That's why miracles happen when you least expect them. They're not random, they're harmonic. You finally hit the note that life has been waiting for. You don't need to control the symphony. You only need to play your note in tune. That's the essence of the law of vibration. The outer world is your echo. The song changes the moment you do. Now listen again. The rhythm behind these words isn't sound, it's remembrance. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not behind. You are simply out of tune with your own power. And right now, in this very breath, you have the ability to retune. The universe isn't punishing you, it's harmonizing you. Every delay, every loss, every heartbreak was never meant to break you. It was meant to tune you. When you finally stop fighting the frequency and begin to flow with it, you'll feel something extraordinary. Peace, stillness, a sense that everything around you has always been connected to you. Because it has. You are not separate from creation. You are creation remembering itself. So, listen again. Save this moment. Because the more you hear it, the more you'll feel it. And the more you feel it, the faster your vibration rises. You don't need to demand abundance. You only need to remember what it feels like to already be whole. And once you do, reality will have no choice but to match it. The vibration you hold becomes the mirror you live in. So, if the universe is a song, then the next law reveals its reflection. The moment when energy takes form. Because everything you vibrate within, you will soon see without. 2. The mirror of reality. The world doesn't happen to you, it responds to you. You open your eyes each morning and believe the world is waiting for you. As if it begins only when you wake. You walk through it, thinking you're inside something called reality, a space made of objects, people, and events beyond your control. But what if this world isn't happening to you? What if it's happening through you? Every encounter, every coincidence, every delay, all of it, reflections of your own vibration, mirrors showing you the frequency you carry. You think you see life, but life is showing you what you've been sending out. You don't live in the world, you live in your perception of it, and perception is vibration made visible. There was a time you believed that events controlled your peace, that if things finally went your way, you could relax. If people treated you right, you'd feel loved. If you made enough, achieved enough, became enough, then you'd finally be safe. But the more you tried to fix the mirror, the more cracks appeared. You changed your job, your city, your relationships. Yet the same stories found new names and new faces. Because you can move to another place, but you always bring your vibration with you. The outer world doesn't create the inner storm. The outer world reveals it. You were never fighting with other people. You were fighting your own reflection in them. Every argument, every disappointment, every repeated cycle of fear or scarcity. It's the universe holding up a mirror saying, "Look, this is what you're vibrating." But we hate mirrors. Because they don't flatter us, they reveal us. So we shatter them, call them unfair, and blame the reflection. For the face we refuse to see. But here's the truth. Life isn't personal. It's precise. The universe doesn't send punishment or reward. It sends a reflection. Every experience is consciousness looking back at itself. When you realize this, the entire illusion of victimhood dissolves. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, what vibration in me called this forth? You stop fearing your circumstances and start studying them, because they're no longer enemies, they're teachers. Every situation is a sacred mirror, and once you read its message, it stops repeating. That's why awareness heals faster than effort. You don't fix reflections. You shift the source of light. Let's make this real. Think of something that frustrates you, someone who triggers you, a situation that seems impossible to change. Now, instead of reacting, pause. Ask yourself, what emotion does this reflect back to me? What belief of mine is being shown in physical form? Is it fear of not being seen? Fear of losing control? The vibration of unworthiness echoing in another person's behavior? This is how consciousness communicates with itself. Your reality is not random, it's responsive. And when you recognize what it's showing you, you begin to dissolve the illusion of separation. You no longer see enemies. You see mirrors wearing different faces. You no longer chase external change. You shift internal tone. Because when you change your vibration, everything that matches the old one fades away, and everything that matches the new one appears. That's why miracles feel sudden. But they're not. They're simply reality updating itself to match who you've become. Entire life is a dialogue between your inner state and the universe. Every time you complain, the mirror grows louder. Every time you bless what you see, the reflection softens. Every time you love, the entire field brightens. You're not powerless. You're broadcasting. You're not waiting for change, and you're vibrating it. And this is the secret of the mirror. It can only show you who you think you are. So if you want the world to look different, don't polish the glass. Change the image behind it. If you want peace, stop waging war inside. If you want love, become what love feels like before anyone arrives. If you want abundance, live as if you already have everything you need. Because in truth you do. That's when the reflection shifts. That's when doors open. That's when reality bends to your vibration. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered how the law works. The world is your canvas, your mirror, your echo. And every time you rise, it follows. So don't curse the reflection. Bless it. Bless what it's showing you. Bless every obstacle as divine feedback, fine-tuning your frequency toward harmony. This is not philosophy, this is physics, of the soul. When you hold love, you'll meet love. When you embody peace, you'll magnetize peace. When you choose gratitude in the storm, you'll watch the storm transform into sunlight. Everything responds to the tone you hold. And now that you understand the mirror, the sacred law that turns invisible vibration into visible reality, the next secret will take you even deeper. Because what you see reflected isn't random light. It's rhythm. The universe doesn't move in straight lines. It breathes, it flows, it dances in cycles, rises and falls like tides of divine intelligence. The next law reveals how to move with that rhythm instead of against it, how to trust the timing of the infinite, how to stop forcing and start flowing, because once you learn the rhythm of creation, you'll never call anything a delay again. 3. The law of rhythm. Life breathes through you. Everything in the universe moves in rhythm. The planets orbit in sacred precision, the ocean rises and falls, the sun ascends, and the moon replaces it in perfect harmony. Nothing in nature rushes, and yet nothing is ever late. Every living thing breathes in cycles, and so do you. But somewhere along the way, humanity forgot the rhythm. We began forcing what was meant to flow. We turned divine timing into deadlines, and we replaced trust with control. That's why we feel exhausted. Not because life is hard, but because we keep swimming against its current. You weren't born to fight the rhythm. You were born to dance with it. You've been conditioned to believe that progress means constant motion, that if you're not producing, achieving, or manifesting something new, you're falling behind. So you push yourself. You chase. You try to keep the pace of a world that no longer listens to its own heartbeat. And then, when life slows you down, you panic. You call it failure. You call it delay. But what it really is rhythm. Every seed must rest in darkness before it blooms. Every wave must retreat before it can rise again. Even your own breath teaches this truth. Inhale, exhale, pause. Expansion, contraction, stillness. The problem is that you only celebrate the inhale. You want endless growth, endless productivity, endless summer. But even the sun rests. You've mistaken the silence between beats as emptiness, when in truth, that silence is where the music begins again. Look back at your life for a moment. Every fall was followed by a rise, wasn't it? Every loss eventually revealed its hidden gift. Every closed door redirected you towards something greater. You've survived every storm you thought would destroy you, not because you fought harder, but because rhythm carried you forward. When something is taken from you, it's not punishment. It's the rhythm preparing space for the next note. You are part of a vast symphony, a wave within an ocean that knows exactly when to pull back and when to surge. You don't control the tide, you belong to it. And once you stop resisting the rhythm, peace returns. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop interrupting its dance. Do you live in rhythm again? First, stop labeling your seasons. The low moments are not failures, they are sacred winters. They exist so your roots can deepen before you rise again. Second, listen. Life speaks through timing. When things slow down, it's because you're being recalibrated. When things accelerate, it's because you're ready. You are not being delayed, you're being tuned. When you lose something, say, the rhythm is changing key, and I'm learning to flow with it. When nothing seems to move, whisper, the universe is inhaling. Soon, it will exhale through me. When everything collapses at once, remind yourself, this is not chaos. It's the rhythm rearranging my melody. Try this. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. Slow, steady, alive. That pulse is not random. It's the same pulse that moves galaxies. It's the same frequency that carries oceans. Now imagine that rhythm extending beyond your body, connecting you to every living thing. With each breath, you are syncing with the rhythm of creation itself. When you walk through life with that awareness, everything begins to harmonize around you. Conversations unfold in perfect timing. Opportunities appear effortlessly. Synchronicities multiply, not by luck, but by rhythm. The law of rhythm says, whatever you force will resist you. Whatever you flow with will carry you. Take a moment and remember, you are not separate from the flow, you are the flow. The rhythm that spins the stars is the same rhythm that moves your heart. When you align with it, you stop being a person struggling through life. You become life expressing itself effortlessly. There is a peace that only arrives when you stop trying to control the music. When you let go of your deadlines, your worries, your expectations, and simply trust that the next beat will come, because it always does. You begin to live like the ocean, never afraid of the ebb, never attached to the wave, always trusting that both are sacred. Listen to me. Nothing you've lost is truly gone. It's returning in a higher rhythm. Nothing that's meant for you can ever miss you. Because divine timing is never early, never late. It is exact. So the next time you feel that life has paused, don't panic. Don't fill the silence with noise. Breathe. And remember, this stillness is not absence, it's preparation. In the rhythm of existence, the pause is sacred. The rest note is what makes the music beautiful. So flow with it, trust it, move with the pulse of the infinite. And when you do, you will finally discover what peace feels like, not the peace of escape, but the peace of alignment. You now understand rhythm, the sacred pulse of the universe. But there is a deeper mystery still, because while rhythm moves everything, it also reveals another pattern: correspondence. The truth is that everything above mirrors everything below, that the galaxies turning overhead are reflections of your own consciousness. The next law will show you how that hidden symmetry works, how every corner of the cosmos reflects the structure of your inner world. And when you understand that, you'll see that there is no out there is only you seen from different angles. 4. The Law of Correspondence. As within, so without. Everything you see outside of you began inside of you. The people who enter your life, the opportunities that find you, the challenges that test you, they are not coincidences, they are coordinates, reflections of invisible patterns within your own consciousness. The ancients summarized it in one timeless sentence: as above, so below, as within, so without. You are both the seed and the garden, the artist and the painting, the dreamer and the dream. When you understand this, life stops being random. It becomes a reflection, a mirror showing you what exists in your inner world. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You begin to whisper, "What part of me is this showing me?" And that question changes everything. We live in an age where people are obsessed with appearances. We decorate the surface, polish the mask, chase validation, and call it success. But the outer world never obeys outer changes. You can rearrange the furniture of your life. New career, new relationship, new city. And yet, the same feeling keeps following you, because no matter where you go, you take yourself with you. The frustration, the self-doubt, the scarcity, the endless cycle of almost, they don't come from the world outside. They come from the patterns you carry inside. You can change your surroundings 1,000 times, but if the vibration remains the same, the script will simply rewrite itself with new characters. That's why life keeps repeating the same lessons, not to punish you, but to show you where harmony has been lost within. The outer chaos is the inner conflict projected outward. The outer delay is the inner doubt manifested in time. The outer rejection is the inner belief that whispers, "I am not enough." Nothing outside you has ever had power over you. It only echoes what you're broadcasting from within. Here's the shift that liberates you forever. The world is not happening to you. It's happening as you. Everything you experience is an answer to your internal tone. Every event in your life is a symbol of your state of consciousness. If your inner world is noisy, life becomes chaotic. If your inner world is peaceful, life moves in order. The Law of Correspondence says that the structure of reality mirrors the structure of mind. The macrocosm is a reflection of the microcosm. The universe isn't out there. It's within you, expressing itself through form. When you finally realize this, you stop chasing control and you start mastering reflection. You stop trying to fix what's happening outside and begin transforming the vibration that's projecting it. You start cleaning the mirror instead of blaming the reflection. Here's how you work with this law. Whenever something in your life feels unbalanced, instead of reacting, observe. Say to yourself, "This is my consciousness made visible." Then ask, "What inner belief or emotion is this showing me?" When you face rejection, it's not the person rejecting you. It's your own unhealed belief in unworthiness asking to be released. If you face scarcity, it's not the economy. It's the vibration of fear echoing through your field. If you face conflict, it's not the other person. It's the energy of resistance still living within you. The outer world is your teacher. It repeats the lesson until you recognize the vibration behind it. Once you shift that energy within, the mirror shifts immediately. And this is the secret few understand. The fastest way to change your life is to change your inner atmosphere. Not your routine, not your surroundings, not your followers or your finances. Your vibration. When your inner frequency changes, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Because reality is obedient to consciousness. It doesn't argue, it simply reflects. That's why stillness is so powerful. Because in stillness, your inner world finds symmetry again. Try this. The next time something frustrates you, pause. Don't speak, don't judge. Just feel the energy behind it. Observe it as a reflection of you. Then breathe into it. Not to suppress it, but to neutralize it. In that breath, you reclaim your power. Because the moment you see yourself in what triggers you, the mirror stops controlling you. You start shaping it. You are the meeting point between heaven and earth, the bridge through which energy becomes matter, and your life, all of it, is the sacred dialogue between the invisible and the visible. When you bless what you see, You heal what you don't. When you love the reflection, you transform the source. Nothing around you is meaningless. Every detail, the delays, the synchronicities, the random words overheard on the street, they are all communications from the deeper intelligence within you. The universe is not testing you, it's responding to you. So if you want a different reflection, polish the mirror of your mind. If you want to live in abundance, vibrate gratitude before it arrives. If you want to meet higher souls, embody higher energy. If you want peace, speak peace into your own heart first, because when you find heaven within, you'll start seeing heaven everywhere. The law never fails. It cannot be fooled, bypassed, or manipulated. It only reflects truth, and that is its mercy. So bless what you see, even the pain, especially the pain, because the moment you stop fighting the reflection and start understanding it, it changes. And in that instant, the mirror of the world shines back your divinity. Now that you've seen how your inner world shapes the outer one, the next law reveals how energy itself transforms. How thoughts become form, how emotion becomes movement, how consciousness transmutes shadow into light. It's the secret that turns fear into power, pain into wisdom, and desire into manifestation. The next chapter will show you the divine mechanism behind transformation itself. Chapter 5, the Law of Transmutation. What you bless, you transform. There are only two ways energy can move through you. You either resist it or you redeem it. Every emotion, every thought, every experience is pure energy, raw, neutral, divine. And yet, humanity learned to label it as good or bad, light or dark, holy or sinful. But energy doesn't care about your labels. It only obeys one law, transmutation. You can't destroy energy. You can only change its form. The anger you suppress becomes illness. The grief you avoid becomes numbness. The fear you deny becomes a shadow that follows you. But the moment you face it with awareness, the very vibration that once bound you begins to rise. What you bless, you transform. What you resist, you imprison. And the world you see around you is nothing more than the alchemy of your own consciousness in motion. For most of your life, you were taught to run from pain, to think positive, to avoid negativity as if it were a disease. But what you resist persists, because resistance feeds energy. Every time you suppress a feeling, you lock it into your vibration. Every time you ignore a wound, you give it permission to govern your reality from the shadows. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. You can't rise while rejecting the weight that anchors you. You can't experience heaven while denying the hell within. That's why you keep repeating cycles. The same arguments, the same fears, the same disappointments. Different names, same frequency. The universe isn't punishing you. It's inviting you to transform. It keeps showing you the same energy until you stop running from it and learn to bless it. Here is the truth hidden behind centuries of spiritual misunderstanding. Light is not the opposite of darkness. It is the realization within it. When you bring consciousness to your pain, you change its structure. You elevate its frequency. You turn it from poison to power. That is transmutation. The divine chemistry of the soul. This is why forgiveness frees you. Not because the past disappears, but because energy rearranges itself when met with love. Every painful emotion is a lower vibration seeking your light. It's not your enemy. It's your student. It's waiting for your awareness to graduate it into a higher form. When you bless what hurts, you rewrite the energy code that sustains it. And the moment you do, your outer life begins to shift. Not slowly, but instantly, because you've altered the frequency that created it. So how do you apply this law? Begin with honesty. Stop pretending you're fine when you're not. Stop using positivity as a mask. The light doesn't need your performance. It needs your permission. When pain arises, don't analyze it. Don't shame it. Simply bless it. Say aloud, I bless this feeling. I release the need to resist it. I allow it to rise and become light. Feel it, fully. Let it vibrate through you like sound. It cannot harm you. It is simply energy in motion. As you breathe into it, imagine the frequency changing. dense turning subtle, heavy turning luminous. That's not imagination, that's metaphysical science. You are literally altering the electromagnetic field of your body, turning shadow into power. Every thought, every emotion is a current. When you bless it, you reverse its polarity. Hate becomes compassion, fear becomes awareness, guilt becomes wisdom, pain becomes presence. This is the same law that turns carbon into diamond, pressure into strength, fire into light. It is not an escape, it's evolution. When you stop fighting your energy, you allow the universe to refine it for you. The storm doesn't leave because you run. It leaves because you stop feeding it. And when you meet it with stillness, its energy flows back into the source of creation where everything becomes useful again. So now, take a breath. Think of the thing that hurts the most, the memory, the person, the fear that never quite leaves you. Don't turn away, face it, because that energy is not darkness. It's unexpressed divinity waiting for your blessing. Whisper softly, "I see you, I bless you." You are free to return to the light. And feel it. That subtle warmth in your chest, that vibration softening in your field. That is energy remembering its purpose. You are not meant to conquer darkness. You are meant to integrate it. Every saint was once a sinner who stopped fighting their own shadow. Every enlightened being became so, because they finally loved what they once feared. That's how worlds heal. One vibration at a time. So bless it all. Bless what you lost. Bless what broke you. Bless what you cannot understand yet. Because one day you will look back and realize that's what you called pain was grace in disguise. The universe is not cruel. It is alchemical. It transforms everything you offer it. And the moment you stop resisting, you'll watch the same energy that once hurt you begin to serve you. That's the magic of transmutation. You don't escape life. You evolve through it. So don't pray for less challenge. Pray for more light. Because when the light within you grows strong enough, even the darkness bows to serve it. Now that you understand transmutation, the sacred power of turning resistance into radiance, you're ready for the next law. Because once you bless energy and lift its frequency, you awaken a force within you that multiplies it. The law of cause and effect. The next chapter will reveal how every vibration you send returns to you magnified, how the universe keeps perfect balance, never losing a single note in the symphony of creation. You will discover that karma is not punishment. It's precision. It's your own vibration meeting itself again, reminding you of what you've become. Chapter 6, The Law of Cause and Effect. Nothing happens to you. Everything answers you. Nothing in this universe is random. Every whisper, every encounter, every twist of fate has a cause. We call it a coincidence, but the universe does not gamble. It calculates, it responds, it mirrors. You are living inside a field of absolute precision, where every vibration you release returns to you, dressed as experience. The law of cause and effect is not about punishment. It's about resonance. It's the cosmic echo of your own frequency. Every thought you think is a seed, every emotion is water, every action is sunlight, and sooner or later, what you've planted blooms, in perfect alignment with its origin. This is not superstition, it's divine mathematics. The universe is exact, but you were taught that life is unpredictable, that luck rules, that fate decides. You were told that some people are chosen while others are forgotten. So you move through life reacting instead of creating. You get angry at what appears unjust. You resent the reflection without understanding the cause. You say, "Why do I keep attracting pain? Why do I meet the same kind of people? Why does the same story replay?" And life, faithful to its law, answers, "Because that is the frequency you keep sending." What you feel within is what you teach the universe to repeat. When you vibrate fear, life gives you more to fear. When you vibrate gratitude, life multiplies what you already have. The law is not emotional, it's mechanical. It doesn't judge your vibration as good or bad. It simply reflects it. So if your world feels chaotic, it's not evidence of failure. It's feedback. Your external experience is the universe saying, "This is what you're broadcasting." Here lies the liberating truth. Nothing happens to you. Everything happens through you. Every event is a messenger. Every moment is an echo. The angry driver, the lost opportunity, the closed door. They're all returning energy, vibrations sent out long ago, making their way home to teach you what you've been transmitting. And when you understand this, victimhood dissolves. How can you be a victim of your own vibration? How can you curse what you yourself have called forth? This realization doesn't make you guilty. It makes you powerful. You finally see that karma is not a sentence, it's a teacher. It's the mirror through which consciousness recognizes itself. You take responsibility for your energy. The pattern breaks, the effect changes. Because the cause has evolved, you don't need to erase the past, you only need to create a new cause in the present. The universe will do the rest. So how do you use this law consciously? Start by becoming aware of your emotional tone, not the words you speak, but the energy you carry. Every day ask yourself, what am I broadcasting right now? Because the universe isn't fooled by your affirmations. It listens to your vibration. If you speak abundance but feel lack, you're transmitting a lack. If you say, "I forgive," but still hold resentment in your body, you're transmitting resistance. So instead of forcing positive thoughts, find your alignment. Bless the emotion that surfaces, thank it for showing you the old cause, and release it by breathing awareness into it. Then, choose a new vibration deliberately. Peace, gratitude, trust. Each time you hold those frequencies sincerely, you create new causes that must return to you. Not by willpower, but by law. Because the universe cannot return what you haven't sent, and it cannot withhold what you have. This is why every small act of kindness, every silent prayer, every unseen moment of love matters more than you realize. Energy never disappears. It circles back, multiplied by the infinite. That is why a smile can heal a stranger, and why resentment can destroy a day. Both are causes. Both return in kind. Try this. When something unpleasant happens, instead of reacting, say quietly to yourself, "This is a returning vibration. I bless it. I understand the lesson." That single act changes your frequency instantly, because you've shifted from reaction to creation. You're no longer a prisoner of energy. You've become its master, and the moment you bless the echo, it transforms. Its cycle ends. The pattern dissolves. Listen closely. The universe is not keeping score. It's keeping balance. Every vibration seeks its counterpart. Every cause seeks its completion. And that's why no act of love ever vanishes. No prayer is ever unheard. No seed planted in faith ever dies. The law of cause and effect ensures that every thought, every feeling, every gesture of your soul will return to you, not as judgment, but as proof that the divine order is real. You cannot escape this law, but you can align with it. When you stop fearing your consequences and start mastering your causes, you step into true creation. The universe is not a courtroom, it's a mirror. It doesn't punish, it harmonizes. It doesn't take sides, it balances. So bless your causes, bless your effects, bless the law that keeps the stars in their orbit, and brings your energy back to you so you can evolve. Because each echo you face is simply the universe whispering, "Become conscious of what you're creating." This is divine justice, not the justice of punishment, but the justice of perfection. Everything that returns to you is not retribution, it's a revelation. The field is flawless. The universe keeps nothing you didn't send and withholds nothing you have earned. When you live with that awareness, your entire being relaxes. You no longer fear the future because you know it's made of your present. You no longer resent the past because you see how it refined you, and you begin to live deliberately, like a conscious vibration shaping its own destiny. Now that you understand the perfect symmetry of cause and effect, you're ready for a deeper secret, the hidden balance between the poles, the cosmic duality that governs all creation. The next chapter will reveal the Law of Polarity, the truth that every shadow hides its own light, and that opposites are not enemies but complements, necessary halves of a single whole. You'll learn why pain gives birth to wisdom, why endings create beginnings, and how mastering both sides of the spectrum is the key to spiritual freedom. Chapter 7. The Law of Polarity. The light you seek hides in your shadow. Every truth casts a shadow, every light creates its opposite, and every soul, no matter how divine, must walk through both. This is the Law of Polarity, the sacred design of the universe that ensures balance in all things. You cannot rise without descent. You cannot heal without first touching what is wounded. You cannot awaken without first seeing what you've been asleep to. The human mind calls one side good and the other evil, one side holy and the other is sinful. But the universe doesn't take sides. It harmonizes them. The shadow you fear isn't against you. It's a doorway to the part of you that still needs love. And the moment you stop running from it, you'll discover that the very darkness you've been avoiding is the womb of your awakening. For most of your life, you've been taught to reject one half of yourself, to suppress anger, hide fear, deny doubt, and silence desire, to present light, even when your soul trembled in darkness. But everything you repress doesn't disappear. It sinks deeper, waiting to be seen. You've called it bad luck, unexplained sadness, sabotage, or self-doubt. But it's only your unhealed self asking to be heard. The universe keeps showing you the parts you disown, through people who trigger you, through experiences that stretch you, through moments that break your certainty. The more you resist these mirrors, the louder they become. You can pretend to be enlightened, but your shadow knows the truth. It will whisper through your fears, through the moments you lose control, through the things you judge in others, because what you reject in them is what you have not yet accepted in you. The greater the light you carry, the deeper the shadow you must integrate. That's not punishment. It's balance. Here's the revelation that changes everything. Your shadow is not darkness. It's light in disguise. Every emotion you call negative is divine energy seeking liberation. Anger is power misunderstood. Fear is faith that's been forgotten. Shame is love that's turned against itself. And every time you meet these parts of you with compassion, they rise in vibration. They stop being chains and become channels. That's why enlightenment is not about escaping duality. It's about reconciling it. The master doesn't live above opposites. The master walks between them. The Christ and the serpent, the saint and the sinner, the ocean and the fire, all are part of one body, learning to recognize itself. You were never meant to eliminate darkness. You were meant to illuminate it, because the moment you bless your shadow, the war within ends. And in that peace, you begin to see the divine order hidden inside chaos. You work with polarity consciously. How do you turn conflict into unity? Begin with awareness. When something triggers you, instead of defending yourself, ask, what part of me is this revealing? If someone makes you angry, ask, what truth about my own boundaries is this showing me? If you feel jealousy, ask, what unexpressed potential within me is longing to rise? If you feel fear, ask, what part of me still believes I am separate from the source? Each question turns shadow into light. Each pause reclaims energy that was trapped in resistance. Then, bless it, not as an idea, but as a vibration. Whisper to yourself, I bless this feeling. I welcome its wisdom. I free it to transform. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to be positive. Just be present. Polarity only hurts when you take sides, but when you stand in the center, the axis between night and day, you feel peace. The light of awareness does not destroy darkness. It dissolves the illusion of separation. Try this meditation. Close your eyes. Visualize a flame in your chest, steady, golden, alive. Around it, imagine your fears, doubts, and wounds circling like shadows. Now see the flame expand until it embraces them all. No judgment, no resistance, only light. That warmth you feel is integration. That peace is polarity harmonized, because every time you include what you once rejected, you become more whole. And wholeness is the true nature of divinity. You are both the dawn and the dusk, both the storm and the stillness after it. Stop calling one sacred and the other profane. Both serve the same source. The universe breathes through contrast. Without winter, there is no spring. Without silence, there is no song. Without shadow, there is no form. When you finally understand this, you stop labeling your seasons. You begin to bless them. You start saying, "This too is divine, this too is me." And that phrase changes everything. You stop fearing death because you see it's just a transformation. You stop cursing loss because you realize it's space for renewal. You stop avoiding discomfort because you recognize it as energy seeking to evolve. The law of polarity reveals the mercy behind contrast. It teaches you that the very tension you once hated is what sharpens your consciousness into clarity. So bless your shadows, bless the pain, the mistakes, the parts of your story that still ache to be loved. Because once they're seen through the eyes of awareness, they cease to be enemies. They become teachers. And in that moment, you will finally understand the mystery whispered across centuries. The dark was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to wake you. When light and shadow hold hands, the soul becomes whole again. That is polarity fulfilled. That is divine equilibrium. Now that you've seen both sides of existence and learned to stand in their center, the next law will take you beyond opposites, into movement, momentum, and creative power. Because once you master polarity, you awaken the courage to act. The next chapter reveals the law of gender, the divine marriage of thought and feeling, the sacred union of idea and emotion. That gives birth to every creation in your life. You'll learn how the masculine and feminine energies within you are not opposites, but partners, and that when they unite, miracles begin to take form. Chapter 8. The Law of Gender, the marriage of thought and feeling. Creation is not random. It is a union, a sacred marriage between two invisible forces within you. One gives form, the other gives life. One imagines, the other feels. One is the seed, the other the womb. This is the law of gender, the divine principle that governs all manifestation. It exists in everything, in nature, in thought, in energy, in you. Every idea that enters your mind is masculine, a spark of possibility. Every feeling that nourishes it is feminine, the substance that gives it shape. When these two unite in harmony, a new reality is conceived. It begins first in silence, then in vibration, then in form. You were born through this law. You create through this law. And until you learn to balance it, your inner world remains divided, full of ideas without emotion and emotions without direction. Most people live out of rhythm with this divine union. They think endlessly but feel nothing. Driven by logic, ambition, and control, they live in the masculine principle, but without the warmth of receptivity. Others feel deeply but never act, immersed in emotion, sensitivity, intuition, yet without structure or intention. They dwell in the feminine without direction, and so the world oscillates between extremes, overthinking and emotional chaos, action without faith and faith without form. But manifestation requires marriage, the conscious blending of idea and emotion, vision and vibration, masculine focus and feminine surrender. When you think without feeling, your creation remains sterile. When you feel without focus, your energy dissipates into confusion. Only when the two embrace, the idea held steadily in the mind and the feeling cherished faithfully in the heart, does creation begin to breathe. The ancients called this the secret wedding of heaven and earth. It's not about gender as we know it, but about polarity. The masculine within you directs, the feminine within you receives. The masculine says, "Let there be." The feminine answers, "And there was." Every moment you imagine something, you plant a seed. Every moment you feel it as real, you conceive it. This is why thought alone cannot create. It's only half of the equation. You must feel it. Not wish for it, not beg for it, but become pregnant with it in emotion. Your mind is the sculptor. Your heart is the clay. Together they shape your reality. When these two forces within you love one another, you stop chasing outcomes. You start gestating miracles. You don't force, you align, you don't demand, you expect. Because you know that once the inner union occurs, the outer manifestation is inevitable. How to activate the law of gender within you. Start with an idea, something you desire to experience. Hold it clearly in your mind. Don't worry about the how. The masculine doesn't chase the outcome. It defines the vision. Then shift into the feminine. Close your eyes. Feel what it would be like if it were already true. Don't visualize the image. Vibrate the emotion. Let the feeling grow inside you like warmth, expanding through your chest. That is the spiritual womb. That is where creation begins. Stay with it until it becomes natural, until your heart and mind are no longer at war, until the thought feels real and the feeling feels peaceful. Then let it go, not in neglect but in trust. Because just like the earth knows how to grow the seed once it's planted, your subconscious knows how to manifest the image once it's conceived. The masculine acts in faith. The feminine receives in silence. You may not see results immediately, just as you don't see the seed sprout the moment you bury it. But creation has already begun. It's alive, forming, unseen. Your only task is to protect the vibration, not by clinging, but by remaining in the state of expectancy. The union has already happened. Now life takes care of the birth. This is why impatience kills manifestation, because it interrupts gestation. Doubt is the abortion of the spirit. But faith, nurtured in stillness, is pregnancy in consciousness. Look around you. Every flower, every star, every human breath is evidence of this sacred law. The sun gives, the earth receives, and life blooms from their dance. The ocean ebbs and flows, day gives way to night, sound is born from silence, movement from stillness. Everything in existence breathes in dual rhythm. So too must you. Let your inner masculine be your direction, focused, disciplined, unwavering, and let your inner feminine be your devotion, soft, receptive, trusting. Together, they create harmony. Together, they make you whole. You are both the creator and the creation, both the word and the womb. When thought and feeling unite, you become the bridge through which the infinite expresses itself. That is the mystery hidden in every sacred text. The word became flesh. The word, thought. The flesh, feeling. And between them, the breath of life. This is the holy trinity of creation. Idea, emotion, manifestation. Nothing exists outside this pattern. So bless your mind for dreaming, bless your heart for feeling, and bless the invisible process that unites them. Because when the two within you finally love one another, you will stop seeking creation. You will become it. You will speak, and reality will respond. You will imagine, and form will obey. You will think, and feeling will give it life. That is the divine marriage. That is how God creates through you. Now that you've united the forces within you, the next law reveals how to maintain this union. How to remain centered as energy moves between extremes, because even creation must flow, and energy must breathe in cycles. The next chapter unveils the law of rhythm, the secret of timing, seasons, and flow. You'll learn that life expands and contracts for your growth, and that your peace depends not on controlling the rhythm, but on dancing with it. Chapter 9. The Law of Mentalism. You are the thinker and the thought. There comes a moment, often quiet and unexpected, when you begin to sense that everything you've ever lived, every victory, every heartbreak, every strange coincidence, was set in motion long before it appeared in your physical reality. It didn't start with your actions. It didn't start with your words. It started in the invisible world within you, not in your conscious mind, but in the deeper field beneath it. the field ancient mystics called the first law, the origin point from which all creation emerges, the Law of Mentalism. They summarized it in 3 simple words: all is mind. It wasn't a metaphor, it was a blueprint. And once you see this truth, life stops feeling like a sequence of random events happening to you and begins to reveal itself as a reflection of what has been happening through you. For most of our lives, we move through the world believing that the external is separate from the internal, that thoughts are just thoughts, while reality is something solid and independent. We try to change the world through force, effort, and control. We push against circumstances, trying to make them bend. We exhaust ourselves trying to fix what we see outside, never realizing that we are trying to edit a reflection while ignoring the source. You cannot smooth the ripples in a mirror by touching the glass. You must touch the water beneath it. The conflict you face is not random. The patterns that repeat in your life are not accidents. They are transmissions, energetic broadcasts of a state of consciousness you may not even know you're tuning into. And this is why change often feels impossible. You cannot escape a reality you continue to recreate from within. The law of mentalism carries a paradox that unsettles the ego. You don't create reality. You tune into it. Your mind is not a machine manufacturing events. It is a tuning device that selects frequencies. When your inner state shifts, the world you experience shifts with it. Not because you forced a new outcome into existence, but because you entered a different version of reality that was always available. 2 people can stand in the same room and live in 2 different worlds. One sees a possibility, the other sees a threat. One feels guided, the other feels lost. Nothing outside changed, but each mind tuned into a different layer of what reality contains. Your consciousness is the lens through which the universe becomes visible. When you think a thought, you aren't simply observing life. You are stepping onto a timeline where that thought is true. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are being. This is the secret countless traditions protected. Reality is not happening around you. Reality is happening through you. To embody this law, you begin with something deceptively simple: awareness, not control, not suppression, not forcing yourself into positive thinking, just awareness. Every thought is a seed. Some seeds grow into beauty, others into confusion, but all obey the same principle. What you nourish will eventually take form. When you observe a thought without fighting it, you weaken its influence. You stop feeding it. You allow it to dissolve like mist in sunlight. Then something powerful happens. A new choice appears. A gentler, clearer, more aligned thought begins to rise. You don't push it. You don't strain for it. You simply lean toward it the way you might tune a radio toward a better signal. You feel the shift, small at first, then undeniable. A subtle warmth, a softening, a brightness. This shift is not imaginary. It is the vibrational doorway into a different version of your life. As your inner climate changes, the outer world reorganizes itself to match the frequency you've entered. This is how new opportunities appear, how old problems dissolve, how synchronicities become normal. You are not forcing reality, you are aligning with the reality that was already waiting for you. And so the question becomes almost sacred. If your mind is the generator, if your consciousness is the tuning dial, what reality do you wish to step into now? Not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve. Now. Because every thought is a doorway, every feeling is a compass, every moment of awareness is a shift in frequency. You are the thinker, but you are also the thought. You are the dreamer, but you are also the dream. And when you remember this, you no longer try to escape your life. You begin to shape it from the only place creation ever truly begins, the silent, powerful field of your own mind. Before moving on, take a deep breath and share in the comments. What insight from this chapter shifted your entire perspective? Your realization might awaken something in someone else, and it will anchor the law deeper within you. Chapter 10. The Law of Divine Compensation. The universe always balances what you give. Nothing in the universe is ever wasted. No prayer goes unheard. No act of love vanishes into silence. No effort of faith disappears into emptiness. Every vibration returns to its source, multiplied. Every cause finds its effect and magnified. This is the law of divine compensation, the hidden equilibrium that governs all creation. It is the invisible current that ensures justice in a world that often seems unfair. It is the sacred principle that keeps galaxies spinning, hearts beating, and blessings circulating through the cosmos. You are never punished for your giving. You are prepared for your receiving, because in divine law nothing is taken. Everything is transformed. What you give with fear diminishes, what you give with love expands, and what you hold too tightly slips away, not as loss, but as correction. For the universe does not keep your possessions, it keeps your vibration. But humanity has forgotten this sacred exchange. We've been taught to measure giving in material terms, to think in scarcity, to protect, hoard, and fear. We believe we must compete to survive, earn to deserve, and take before it's taken from us. So we live with closed hands and wonder why abundance doesn't flow. You cannot receive with clenched fists. You cannot breathe with held breath. You cannot experience divine compensation while vibrating in fear of loss. The universe mirrors the energy you send. If you give from lack, you multiply lack. If you give from love, you multiply love. Because what you believe you lose, you command the universe to remove. And what you bless as already abundant, you call into expansion. It is not your possessions that determine your wealth. It's your consciousness. Here's the truth hidden behind every law. The universe owes you nothing, but it reflects everything. Divine compensation is not a reward system. It's resonance. It returns to you what you truly are, not what you pretend to be. If you give love expecting validation, you'll receive disappointment. If you give love because it's your nature, you'll receive peace. If you serve for recognition, you'll find exhaustion. If you serve because it's divine to do so, you'll find renewal. You see, the universe doesn't respond to appearance. It responds to essence. And the essence of every act is its motive. The energy behind your actions is what determines what they return. When your giving comes from fear, you tell the universe you believe in lack. When your giving comes from love, you declare your faith in abundance. And the law always confirms your faith. That is the secret behind miracles. They are not exceptions to the law, they are expressions of alignment with it. So how do you align with divine compensation? Start by shifting your inner economy. The next time you give, money, time, kindness, energy, pause and check your vibration. Ask yourself, am I giving to get or am I giving to grow? Because one leads to exhaustion and the other leads to expansion. The law of divine compensation is like breathing. You inhale because you exhale. You receive because you give. And when both are balanced, life becomes effortless. Try this daily practice. Whenever you give, bless it. Don't just release the thing. Infuse it with love. Whisper silently, "May this multiply for me and for all." That single blessing sets the energy in motion. Then release it with gratitude, knowing that you have already been compensated, not in the future, but in the vibration of peace you now feel. Because the moment you give with joy, you've already received the essence of abundance. The material form will follow, but the spiritual reward is instant. That's why those who live in generosity never run out. They understand that what leaves them in love always returns in divine proportion. You can't outgive the universe. You can only outgrow your own fear. Divine compensation is not about karma. It's about correction. It restores balance to every vibration that's ever gone astray. When you give bitterness, life returns lessons to soften you. When you give fear, life gives you opportunities to trust again. When you give love, life multiplies its reflection everywhere you look. This is why loss is never the end. It's the adjustment that opens space for something higher. If you lose money, perhaps you're being taught to trust abundance, not numbers. If you lose someone, perhaps you're being reminded that love never leaves, only changes form. If you lose direction, perhaps you're being guided toward alignment, because divine compensation never takes. It redirects. And when you learn to see through the eyes of spirit, you realize that even the things you thought you lost were never gone. They simply return to the source, to come back purified. So bless everything that leaves you. Bless everything that arrives. Bless everything that delays. Because all of it is the same energy. Moving in the rhythm of your own becoming. The more you bless, the more you receive. The more you resist, the more you block. Gratitude is the language of compensation. It tells the universe, I trust your justice. And that trust is what turns emptiness into overflow. Because divine balance doesn't operate in time. It operates in vibration. When your energy is aligned with love, the return is inevitable. So stop keeping score. Stop counting your gifts. Stop asking when. The answer is always the same. When you vibrate as if it's already done. The universe does not pay you for your effort. It rewards you for your alignment. You don't earn grace. You resonate with it. And the moment you do, you'll understand the greatest secret of all. You have never truly given anything away. You've only sent it ahead of you, to prepare the field of your own abundance. That is divine compensation. That is justice at the level of vibration. That is love returning home. Now that you've learned all the laws that govern creation, one truth remains above them all. You are not separate from the universe. You are its expression. In the final epilogue, we will return to the source itself, to the still point beyond all laws, where creation begins and ends within your own consciousness, because the ultimate law is love, and love needs no law to sustain it. Epilogue, the center of all laws, the still point within you. There is a point within you where all motion stops, where thought dissolves, emotion quiets, and time itself bows. It is not empty. It is full, overflowing with silent intelligence. It is not distant. It lives beneath every breath you take. You have been searching through the laws, vibration, correspondence, polarity, rhythm, cause, transmutation, gender, compensation. But all of them lead here, to the same center, the still point within your own consciousness. This is the source of every miracle you've ever prayed for, the meeting place between the finite and the infinite, the threshold where the universe listens. When you finally rest in that stillness, you realize that there was never anything to attract, because nothing was ever outside of you. Everything you have sought has always been waiting in silence, patiently vibrating beneath the noise of your mind. The universe doesn't speak in words, it speaks in being. And when you become still enough, you begin to hear its language, the pulse of harmony, the whisper of divine rhythm, the soundless voice that says, you are home. You are not a fragment lost in space. You are the space itself, the awareness that holds stars, oceans, and galaxies together. When you think, you create. When you feel, you give it life. When you rest in silence, you remember who you are. All laws arise from that silence. All creation flows back to it. There is no law greater than love, and no love deeper than awareness. Love is the gravity that pulls everything back to unity. It compensates for what was lost, balances what was broken, and restores what was forgotten. In love, there are no opposites, no highs or lows, no giving or receiving. Only flow. And so, after all your seeking, after every word you've heard, after every truth that has moved through these teachings, you arrive where you began, inside the stillness that has never moved. That is the final law, not one of motion, but of being. You do not need to reach heaven. You only need to remember that it was never separate. Close your eyes. Feel the rhythm of your breath. That is the breath of the universe moving through you. In this eternal moment, you are not learning the laws. You are becoming them, and in your stillness, creation begins again.